the two new upcoming packages. Part one, the physical infrastructure package, which has now passed the Senate and will now be moving on to the House of Representatives. But first, they need to pass the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, part two, the next stimulus package, which will be the largest stimulus package ever. And they are working on that in the Senate right now. They have actually passed the first two steps of the next stimulus package, kind of like the first two portions of that. Remember, they kind of vote in different steps of the next stimulus package. I know this might get confusing, but they don't just vote on it in just one big vote. It kind of goes in steps, kind of processes of the voting process of the next stimulus package. They are working on that right now. We will hear directly from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer in this video, as well as some breaking news on major new hacks that have just happened in the United States. Yes, they are happening again. Also, we have a major person from the Democratic Party, a former Democratic presidential candidate, who is talking about stimulus checks. In fact, major, huge amount of stimulus checks, $10,000 stimulus checks to be included in this next package, talking about huge stimulus checks. Another big company has been hit by a hacking attempt or a ransomware attempt, and it seems like this is just going to never end. The company Accenture, which is a major global consulting firm, has been hit by a Lockbit ransomware attempt, according to the Cyber Criminals Group website. Accenture encrypted files will be published by the group on the dark web on Wednesday unless the company pays a ransom, Lockbit claimed, according to the screenshots on the website reviewed by CNN's Business Emosov, a cybersecurity firm. Stacey Jones, an Accenture spokesperson, confirmed a cybersecurity incident to CNN Business on Wednesday, but did not explicitly acknowledge the attack. She says, though our security controls and protocols, we identified irregular activity in one of our environments, we immediately contained the matter and isolated the affected servers. We fully restored our systems from the backup, and there was no impact on our operations on our clients' systems. But again, this ransomware gang says that they are going to publish their encrypted files unless they pay the ransom. So, yeah, I guess we're going to find out what's going to happen here pretty soon. Remember, when we go back to what has happened with multiple other companies previously this year, they have paid these attacks from these hacker groups out of Russia, and it has happened yet again. Also, in a separate matter, there has been a $600 million cryptocurrency theft that has just happened in a separate matter, but yet related matter. Hackers have stolen $600 million in cryptocurrency from the finance platform Poly Network in what is said the largest theft in the industry's history. A vulnerability in Poly Network has allowed a thief to make off with $600 million in cryptocurrency, the platform said on Tuesday, begging the attacker to return the money. Quote, the amount of money you hacked is the biggest one in history. The money you stole are from tens of thousands of crypto community members. You should talk to us to work out a solution. But in a new update, the suspected hacker actually returned more than half of the money, $342 million. And the hacker says that he did it for fun. They returned $342 million, although there's over $260 some million still missing, which is still a lot of money, $260 million. So, I mean, yeah, $260 million is still missing. So I guess we'll have to see if that comes back. So yeah, crazy times here in the United States. It seems like it's just, if it's not one thing, it's another. Okay, former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang has this to say about the next stimulus package, which has been announced at $3.5 trillion. For comparison, the third stimulus check package was $1.9 trillion. The largest stimulus package yet was the first one underneath former President Donald Trump, which was $2.3 trillion. That was the one that had the $1,200 stimulus checks and the $600 stimulus checks for children. The $1.9 trillion stimulus package actually had larger stimulus checks, even though the top dollar amount was less, $1.9 trillion, and had $1,400 stimulus checks for adults, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, and $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents. And it had the $3,000 to $3,600 child tax credits. But listen to what former Democratic presidential candidate, obviously he didn't win the presidency, but listen to what he had to say on Twitter. Check this out. He says, I love a lot of what is being considered in the $3.5 trillion social infrastructure bill, aka the next stimulus package. As we know, it has like 10 different names, one of which is social infrastructure bill. But cash relief should be a bigger part of the bill. As we know, they're talking about child tax credits, adult tax credits, possible stimulus checks, all sorts of things. He says, but cash relief should be a bigger part of the bill. $3.5 trillion is enough to give everyone in the country $10,000 plus, which would solve a lot of problems. Yeah. So basically, if they had nothing else in the package and only gave just a stimulus check, if this whole package was just a stimulus check, they could literally give everybody $10,000 or more. Yeah. So he says cash relief should be a bigger part of this bill. $3.5 trillion is enough to give everybody in the country a $10,000 plus stimulus check. He goes on to say, if the Democrats, want a lot of grateful voters and recognition, they should include a fourth cash relief check, would make the whole thing more popular and harder to argue against. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Again, in the third stimulus check package, they had $1,400 stimulus checks for adults, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents and college students who didn't even receive the first and second stimulus checks. And in addition to that, they had the child tax credits of $3,000 to $3,600 in addition to the stimulus checks of $1,400, which were the largest stimulus checks yet to date. In addition to the child tax credits and the $1,400 stimulus checks on top of. We need more and more of these top Democratic leaders like Andrew Yang, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren to call on stimulus checks to be included in this next stimulus package. We need more and more top Democratic leaders to say there must be stimulus checks and more stimulus provisions to be in this next stimulus package. We had a reporter ask Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who's the leader of the Senate and also leader of the Democrats. They were asked him, is everything still on the table? Basically kind of alluding to, or stimulus checks on the table, child tax credits, everything on the table. And he reiterated and basically said in kind of big, bold speech, everything is still on the table. So I personally found that was very interesting that he said it like that, and we showed it on the channel if you missed that video. Here's kind of another interesting thing that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer had to say. Check this out.
Keep those in the middle class and assure them they're going to stay there. They're worried about it. Help those trying to climb that ladder to get into the middle class to get there more easily. That's our mission. That's our goal. And frankly, that is my passion. That is what motivates me. The Democratic budget resolution is transformational. It's probably the most significant single piece of legislation that we have seen, certainly in decades, and Bernie Sanders thinks since Roosevelt. And he's pushing for big change. It'll cut taxes, lower costs for the American people, create good-paying jobs, invest in our future while tackling the climate change crisis. It's big, it's bold, it's strong.
Now, what's interesting, I actually seen this article here today, dated today, August 12th. Some Americans got up to $35,100 in stimulus money. Here's how. Some Americans actually got more than this. Check this out. Here's how the math works. The US government has been working to provide stimulus money to Americans during, in fact, some families received as much as $35,100, while others have actually received more. There's actually no set maximum amount of stimulus money for families because it depends on family size. To understand how and why some people received such large amounts of government help, let's take a look at how a family with 5 kids and 2 parents received money. Washington, D.C. passed multiple relief bills that provide stimulus money in the form of stimulus checks that were deposited or sent via mail. Package number 1 had $1,200 per adult and $500 per child. Stimulus package number 2 had $600 per adult and $600 per child. And package number 3 had $1,400 per adult and $1,400 per child. And the expanded child tax credit resulted in payments of $3,600 per qualifying child under the age of 6 and $3,000 per child between the ages 6 and 17. So the number of children you have directly determines the amount you receive. Let's take the example of a family with 2 parents and 5 children. Each adult will receive a total of $3,200. Each adult will receive $3,200. So with 2 adults in the family, they will receive $6,400. This comes from the 3 stimulus checks. Each child will receive $2,500. With 5 children, that's $12,500 in stimulus checks. Each child under age 6 would also receive $3,600 from the child tax credit. So with 2 children under 6, they would receive $7,200. Each child over 6 would receive $3,000 from the child tax credit. So with 3 children over 6, they'd receive $9,000. That total adds up to $35,100. This assumes that the family has income under the thresholds, and those thresholds are $75,000 for single filers and $150,000 for married filing jointly. Now, some of this money hasn't been delivered yet for the child tax credits, but honestly, there's actually more stimulus money out there, and if you've been watching the show, you actually know about this. Number 1 is rent assistance. We have had people on this show receive 3 months of rent assistance, 6 months of rent assistance, 12 months of rent assistance, especially because there's been several rounds of rent assistance. We had rent assistance all the way back from last year, from the first stimulus check package, actually. We had multiple different cities and states do their own rounds of rent assistance that may or may not still be available. We've had multiple states and cities do utility assistance also. We've had extra SNAP and food assistance also available in some or all areas. We've had unemployment assistance bonuses, $300 to $600 per week, going all the way back from last year. So there's actually been, in some cases, more than $35,000 in money. I mean, if we think about the unemployment bonus money alone from these stimulus packages, that alone can be a lot of money. Also, I've been having a lot of questions about, will they extend the unemployment? It's set to expire on September 6th. Will they extend that in this next package? The Democrats are talking about that. They are talking about that. And I'll just put my list up here, things that the Democrats are considering, okay? All of these are potential things that could be included in this next package, okay? And as you can see here, unemployment benefits is item number 22 here, in no particular order, okay? Also, the unemployment credits, tax credits, that they kind of included at the very last moment from the 3rd stimulus check package that was retroactive for 2020, that made $10,200 of unemployment income tax-free for last year. If you had unemployment income last year, you know this because you probably got it. They're still sending out these. So if you haven't got your unemployment tax break income check or income refund, they're still sending this out. There's probably still millions of people that haven't got this. So don't be afraid that you haven't got it yet, because they are still sending these out. So just be aware of that. But they can do this for 2021 as well. Now, also, they could extend unemployment benefits. I don't want to say it's one of the most likely things. I mean, Remember, Republicans are completely against this. It's one of these Republicans versus Democrat things. Republicans are like 100% against unemployment benefits at this point, which is kind of I don't know if ironic's the right word, because remember that when Republicans were in control of the Senate